Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new 9.22 test server preview video. Today with the Object 268 version 4, the tier 10 heavy tank destroyer, which is replacing our all-beloved Object 263. With being a rear-mounted or rear-turreted tank destroyer or casemate tank destroyer, and also we are having a premiere. It's the first tier 10 tank destroyer with 650 alpha and the second tier 10 tank with 650 alpha with the Object 705A. So yeah, in this video we are going to have a quick look at the stats, quickly recapping the armor model of this vehicle. I'm not wanting to go too deep into it because I'm preparing a how to penetrate guide onto the Object 268 version 4. First of all, let's start with the firepower. It is a 152mm gun, meaning that any armor which is 50mm thick will be overmatched by your magnificent gun. This is a great asset to be had and something you should really look forward to, because something like an E100 cannot do the same trick as you do. And yes, with that I would say you're pretty lucky to be able to. 293mm of AP penetration are also something to fear about, plus 360mm of heat penetration are also something not too bad. Sadly enough, it's nothing compared to the Object 268, which has 303 and 395 respectively. Compared to the most tier 10 TDs, the penetration is a little bit lackluster. While AP penetration is not too bad, sadly enough, the penetration of the premium shells is the worst thing. It's right now, excluding the British tanks and the Stritzwagen, it's the worst premium penetration. Okay, and the Foch B. There were a lot of changes. Back in the days, everything had a lot of penetration. And the Grilla, excuse me for that one. It is though quite sufficient for everything you will need. 360mm of heat penetration. As you can see, you will have at I want to show it to you. What is the average penetration, or what we have to usually they changed that, darn. They changed that to show you. Usually you were able to see exactly from where to where your penetration is lying. Sadly they removed that. Okay, not going to happen again then. The DPM of this tank is the biggest drawback. It has around the same reload time as the Object 268. Just Object 268 has 100 damage more. The reload time is even a little bit weaker. And you can see if you skip through different tanks, except for obviously the Foch B and the Brits tanks, the DPM is settled on the lower end. And with this tank even, we do not even have brothers in arms. The Jackpan 700 has a lot better DPM, the E3 has a lot better DPM, and the Gorilla 15 even has better DPM. Okay, if we remove the chocolate here, which is another 132, we still have better DPM. The DPM of this tank kind of sucks, but on the other hand, the armor of this tank doesn't suck. We'll come to that in just 1 second. Minus 5 degrees of gun impression is 1 whole degree better than the one on the Object 263 and certainly makes things easier. Plus that 12 degrees to the left and to the right side of gun traverse limits is also something pretty darn neat, and 1.83 seconds aim time, meaning in 1.83 seconds the effective aiming circle is decreased by 60%, meaning, hey, that's actually pretty darn decent. Now, to the armor, we are going to quickly get it up here. It's the version 4, the version 5, sadly is not in the game yet. And you can see a lot of red. A 100mm auto bounce angle, 290mm lower plate armor, 250mm effective nominal armor on the uppercase, 220 on those flanks, and 250 on the cupola weak spot. The only real weak spot that this vehicle has is its lower plate, which is 100mm thick in a sharp angle though, but it can be penetrated quite decently. Otherwise, this little flank right here could be also treated as a weak spot. The cupola, you should not try it if you're not shooting APCR or heat shells or any other premium shell. The mobility of this vehicle is surprisingly well, except for the traverse speed. It is, I think, really necessary to train your driver into the clutch braking skill, because 25 degrees per second turn rate is really bad. Because if you compare to other TDs like the WZ-TD, which is also something similar to the Object 268 version 4, you can see it has worse turn rate. The only ones which have worse turn rate is the E3 and the Jackpan 700. And I think the Gorilla 15 has a better one. And yeah, the Badger is slightly worse. But yeah, it has one of the worst turn rates, but it is being compensated by its great power to weight ratio and top speed of 55 kilometers per hour, 22 kilometers per hour backwards. It's legitimately a great asset. Also, if you have a decent enough skilled camouflage crew, this tank actually also has a decent amount of camouflage. It's nowhere near as good as one of another of the Stritzwagen, but it is actually pretty darn workable. Sadly enough, I can't really compare to the Badger. What I can do though is send everything from the crew into the barracks, and we can compare the stock values, 17 to 17.9, meaning it even has a better camouflage than the one on the Badger. Sadly enough, again, our accuracy is not that good. One big drawback of this vehicle is that its fuel range is abysmal. It's super bad, with brothers in arms, with vents, with optics, with situational awareness and recon. We get 448 meters of fuel range. That's an impressively bad value, and it's a lot of investment to get this fuel range. I'm not entirely sure what the stock fuel range is. Is it 380 meters? Not entirely sure about that. Vehicle details. Probably not going to show here. 416. I think it's around 380 meters or 370 meters even of stock fuel range. Well, you can see it here. 8 and 8, 16. Yeah, it's 370 meters of stock fuel range, which is super bad for a tier 10 vehicle. And lastly, if you want to get this vehicle, you have to grind a total of 215,000 experience and maybe even another 46,000, or maybe another 46,000 to get the big gun on the Object 263. So now let's jump into the two gameplays of this vehicle. So here we are on the nice little encounter game of Enskin, obviously a full 15 vs 15 tier 10 match. And as you can see right now, we have loaded some special rations to get our 445 meters and more fuel range. Being in a nice little position right here, we are staying more or less still and see what we can do with our decent enough armor. And as you can see, the 13105 is the first one to bite the dust. But sadly enough, we receive a 400 damage HE shot by the Object 261. But so far, if we are in a decent enough hull down position and even using our good enough, in my opinion really good enough, gun depression of 5 degrees, which can work actually splendid compared to the 4 degrees of the 263, we even bounce a considerable amount of HEAT and APCR shells. As soon though as we are angling too much, you can see the shot right here penetrating into our 80 millimeters of side armor. And another shot by those pesky artillery pieces brings us down to already 592 HP. Sadly enough, we are still stunned. Our accuracy is not being that decent enough, but it works out still so far. We have 704 damage, but 1200 spotting damage, so it's not too bad at the moment. And I guess what you can also see is that the accuracy on the move of this vehicle is actually decent enough. Ooh, can we penetrate the enemy badger? Well, we did our how to penetrate video, but I am refraining to do that. What I'm doing though is loading some heat shells. 360 millimeters of heat penetration should be enough to penetrate his fat little boobies in a kind of sense, but we do not hit them and we simply bounce off. Now though, as he is deciding to not really move perfectly and as he is not using fully hold down technique, we are able to penetrate him. And from what it looked like, we hit the gun shield beside. Yep, there you can see the shell, and you can see we have one more shot left in our barrel and he is a goner. Again, one nice little 360 heat shots through his 355 millimeter frontal boobies. Now we are load back at AP shots, and you can see we sadly missed that shot. Accuracy though, or aim time, is pretty decent enough. And what you can see right now is I'm sometimes struggling getting the vehicle around, turning around, because as already said, the movement or the the whole traverse of this vehicle is more than not sufficient. Like, it's really annoying, and yes, clutch braking is a skill you certainly have to have. But a nice little shot on a move, the Object 261 is gone, 2.6k damage, and we are getting our nice and easy Pascucci medal. And you can see again, aiming in, it's going quite fast for this kind of caliber. And hey, 293 millimeters of AP penetration is enough to nail the Jag Panzer E100 side. What we need to watch out for is that, again, you tend to forget that this is a 650 damage gun and not a 750 damage gun. So from time to time, yes, it can happen that you miscalculate it because you are used to those 750 alpha from the 268, from every single other 150 millimeter gun. But yeah, nice little aim into the lower plate of the 705A, and we are not even spotted rather in that sense, and we push our damage total to 4,000 even though we wasted 1,000 and what was it, 600? No, 500 HP in the beginning of the battle. This battle in general, and here you can see it again, the turn is so slow. It's really darn obnoxious. But what did we got for that game? We are looking at it right now. 15 bonds, a Pascucci medal, first class, 4,090 damage and 4 kills. We didn't do as much damage as Potolokok in his 430U, but we did a little bit more experience, hence because of the kills we got, and most likely because of the spotting damage we got. 13 shots, 10 hits, 9 penetrations, 4,000 damage, nothing sniped. We received 10 shots, 4 of them penetrated, 6 didn't penetrate it at all. 2,640 damage blocked by our armor. In my opinion, a pretty decent number for a server where most likely every single person is shooting tons of gold. So yeah, and you could also see that we reliably bounce the APCR shots off the Badger and the Conqueror if we are not showing him our side. So now let's go to the second game. On on Windstorm, and you can see we painted our Object 268 version 4 in a stylish red and white color and a blue barrel, giving it a nice French touch. JK, we are going to one of my most favorite positions in the game to get some first shots into an enemy crossing there. And with our top speed and already pointed out our HP to ton ratio, it is a breeze to get there. Sadly enough, there is not really anybody deciding to go there. which is a little bit sad if I think about it. I was just like, yeah, come on, somebody will cross eventually. But as you can see, that is sadly enough not the case. So I'm deciding to turn around, and once again, the turn rate of this vehicle is obnoxiously bad. Now I'm trying to get probably some shots onto the 430U, which just shot by himself. I'm driving up there to utilize the lower plate armor, and somehow we didn't quite hit where we wanted to hit, and the Batchat boosted up there and is shooting some heat shells onto us, which we need to watch out for. As we already pointed out, our upper front armor is not that strong. It is only 100 millimeters thick, but in an impressive angle. Lucky enough, the shot into the 430U's lower plate lit him on fire for 511 additional damage. And I'm deciding, you know what, Batchat? I don't care, I'm going to get you another shot in. 560 damage though only, and yeah, the 430U should be able to finish off the Batchat, as he should be now reloading. I'm deciding to now drive towards the city, because there is a little bit more damage to get from, and maybe we can help our allies out. As you can see, they are getting overrun as hell. So, we are already acquiring our next target, which will most likely be the Object 705A up there and the 121. And this is actually an impressively good position for us. And look at that lucky shot. It is actually a little bit unlucky, as we wanted to hit the 121, which is charging us for, well, our HP, but we shoot under him, hitting the 705 A side and letting him on fire for an additional 223 damage. But now it will be interesting if we are actually using our nice and easy lower hold down and using those 5 degrees of gun depression. Heat shells most certainly bounce reliable. But as soon as we show our lower plate armor and other kinds of armor, it is not the case anymore. I'm deciding to do a little bit of a stupid move to go around and get the 121, but sadly enough, the E3 high rolls us for 785 damage and we are a goner. Welp. That game could have been a little bit better. I was too greedy, wanted to get the 1-to-1 kill and didn't stay in my hold down position. Even though this hold down position could have not been able enough to bounce the E3's APCR shell. So that's it for the second game. What we've got for that, it was sadly enough a defeat. 3,789 damage, second in damage. The enemy Object 268 version 4 did bit more, carried their team to victory with the E3, which spammed his way to victory with 8 PCR. 7 shots, 7 hits, 6 penetrations, 3,789 damage and another 2,310 blocked damage. Overall, I think the tank is decent enough. It's fun to play, definitely. If you play hold down, it's even more rewarding than the Object 263. The cupola is not really a weak spot. 250mm of armor is the same weak spot as the Type 5 Heavy has, which is non-existent if you're not shooting premium shells. Sadly enough, the big fly in the soup is its low DPM and its really bad turn rate. But yeah, guys, what do you think about the Object 268 version 4? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you all later.